Sunday, March 15th. Does this start spring break?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. 2 voyages today. Kind of a messed up deal, but we went from here, very safe anchorage, to just south of Baton Rouge, where we attempted to get fuel. Our total hours underway today, 4 hours, 43 minutes, 26 miles, average speed 6.3, max speed 11.2, coming back downriver. It was rougher than all get out at this fuel barge. We had to wait several hours for the fuel barge to get there. I was pretty annoyed, mostly frustrated with everything in Baton Rouge. But the guys with the fuel barge, we got there, we tied up in 34 knot winds. It was a bit of a challenge, but I mean, it was crazy how rough the water was, because we have 34 knots of wind coming straight out of the south, and the current at 2 knots coming straight out of the north made for huge waves. Okay, we ended up getting I think 489 gallons.
Yes.
The 2 guys that helped us handle the lines and get the tanks filled and everything, they were phenomenal. They were just they give me new hope in Baton Rouge. There's no place to anchor and do all these different things that we wanted to do. No docks that we could tie up to. I don't understand why a city of that size would not have facilities, like a city dock, stuff like that. But it's neither here nor there. It's their loss. But we ended up coming back to the anchorage we were at last night, which is a great anchorage because we need protection. Wind's supposed to be between 45 and 55 knots here in the next, about 3 hours? And then thunderstorms, and then it's supposed to calm down tomorrow. But we didn't want to go on north of Baton Rouge because we couldn't find a decent anchorage that would be remotely protected on Navionics within our traveling distance, because we didn't get fuel. I think we left the fuel dock in right at 35 knot winds at 4:05, and but we got off the dock nice and smooth. This boat handles that kind of weather really, really well. Stabilizers, they kept us nice and stable. Coming back, bashing through those waves, we had spray coming over the windshield, stuff like that. And this is just the Mississippi River, not like the big ocean or anything. Had a great supper tonight. What all did we do today besides get fuel? Oh, we got water.
They did our water for us.
They fixed us up there.
I walked half a mile to sign everything. Climbed a hill, walked a mile.
Actually, we paid almost over $1 cheaper than Orange Beach per gallon. So I was very pleased. We found out our gas mileage, which is horrible going up the river. Instead of getting 1 mile to the gallon, we're getting 2 gallons to the mile.
But
so
we're
it's
fighting current.
Yeah, we're fighting current, and now I may back off the speed just a little bit. Because we can back it off 30% and only lose a knot. Okay, it's not a big difference. Talking with the tug drivers today, I'm amazed at how friendly they are, and they're not used to seeing pleasure craft out here. I mean, it's just not common. What'd the guys say at the
last time they had a pleasure craft was probably a year ago, and it was going down to Florida to be sold.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they're just not. And we're out here on the Great Mississippi, and we're the only ones. I mean, everything else is giant tugs with anywhere from 30 to 48 barges. I mean, just so much traffic. But, I can see where coming down the Mississippi, I mean, we were doing 12 knots, at idle speed, you know. Can you imagine how far we could go?
Oh, yeah.
It would be great.
We'd have to put on the brakes, as Dave says.
Hit those brakes. So we're going to head north of Baton Rouge tomorrow, and our next target is Vicksburg, because there's a dock that we can tie up to there, and they supply tugboat operators, and they have a warehouse there, and we can tie up and we go up and shop at their warehouse. They generally only do commercial stuff. They deliver out to the tugs and stuff like that, which is a big deal. I mean, I don't know how many people are on these tugs, like those 110 footers we saw today. They got to have a half a dozen guys minimum on there, and we all got to eat. So, but they deliver diesel and supplies and stuff like that. Overall today's been good. We changed the impeller in the generator last night. In the starboard generator, everything worked fine today. The boiler works good. We're getting ready to have a cold snap here in about 2 hours, so we're gonna get to test the boiler a little more. They said it's gonna get to freezing, but I don't think it'll get that cold here. Back in Oklahoma, they had 50 and 60 mile an hour winds today, and that's what's coming our way. So, where we're anchored, the current pushes us this way, and the wind's pushing us this way. So we put out 178 feet of chain, plus the rudder. And this boat doesn't really move. That chain just, the half-inch chain, you take that, that's a lot of weight that's laying on the bottom, holding you. I don't even think the anchor came up muddy this morning when we came up.
What about the water?
Oh yeah, I gotta apologize to the warden for the water. The reason we were low on water is because I was trying to prime the generator with our fresh water, and forgot to turn it off. So
Not
we're
my
running around.
fault.
Yeah, it was not her fault. It was mine, all mine. We did not run out of water. It's just the pumps. When they see no resistance, I think they just shut down.
Well, we filled up quite a bit. I mean, as fast as they were going, it still took a while for our starboard tank to fill up.
Yeah.
So we were low.
We were
not as low as
we were
thought
definitely low. And this is where me and Captain Paul disagree on the water maker. He's saying really don't need a water maker.
Oh, it would be great.
But we have one that was supposed to be serviced. It didn't get serviced. It's non-functional right now, and the last thing I really want to do is work on that stuff right now. Got other things to work on. But to be a truly independent vessel, where we don't have to go to a dock or anything else. I mean, today was your first day off the boat in what, 6 days?
5 days.
5 days?
Because I was on the field dock in Orange Beach, because I was the one
Okay, right.
that got off there.
And,
that really wasn't land, that was a dock.
Yeah, that was a dock, and you got on a floating fuel dock today.
Yes, I jumped on the floating fuel dock, and then I jumped over to a crane thing that I had to climb up 2 flights of stairs.
Yeah. But if you think about it, we've been a week without tying up to anybody, doing anything like that. I like this boat. It's as close to an Explorer yacht as I could get in my price range. That has all the safety features that I want. Having 3.5 baths is great. We have the day head right over here. So, You know, and then just before we're anchoring or moving up to a fuel dock, I hit the head so I don't get up here and start dancing around all antsy like.
We all do.
Yep.
We never know how long it's going to take.
Yeah, and you know, some of these other boats, you know, and they say, well, this is really too big to do the loop. Okay, that's fine. I'm not really bound and determined to do the loop in this boat, you know. But I am, you know, like going up the Mississippi. That's an adventure in itself. Okay, you know, how many people can say they brought their boat up the Mississippi to Oklahoma? Okay, you know, I'm just looking at it like an adventure. Okay, it's a big deal to me. You know, everybody, you know, you see Mark Twain wrote stories about, you know, Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn. Nobody writes stories about the Tin Tom. You know, it's really tame. But, you know, really, because there's hardly any locks on the Mississippi, especially going downstream, you can really fly. You know, that Tin Tom, you're waiting on the locks all the time. You know, sometimes you're doing 3 and 4 locks a day. And, you know, that takes a lot of time. And locks, no matter what anybody says, are a bit of a challenge because everyone's a little bit different. And
commercial has right away.
Yeah, commercial has the right of way. So you might be waiting 3 or 4 hours. You know, you'd plan on doing 3 or 4 locks that day, and you might get to do 1 or 2. The scenery along the Mississippi's been pretty good. Now, the ICW down on the Gulf Coast, there was just marsh all around us. No trees, no anything. That was unique. I wasn't really expecting that. I was expecting, I guess, more like the Tin Tom. You know, which up here, that's more like what it is. But, you know, today we found ourselves in 165-foot water. You know, that's a lot of water. In a dang near mile wide. It wasn't up here. It wasn't quite a mile wide. It was close, but you know, it still amazes me. 5 million gallons a second into the Gulf of America. That's a lot of water, and to navigate in that, it's fun. So, and you know, but of course, we got every chart in the world here. Probably our biggest difficulty is understanding the tow. As they talk, you know, yeah, see you on the 1, see you on the 2, you know,
that and understanding
the 2 whistle, the 1 whistle, you know, and they talk like CB talk, and you know they're supposed to say their name so many times, and all. Shoot, they're just jabbering back and forth, you know, and you know we have to listen to it. Of course, we have to monitor 16 for any emergency stuff. Monitor channel 10 for the fuel barge. Channel 67 for barge-to-barge traffic. Yeah, we got radios everywhere. You know, it's fun though. I love our radars because we can tell. You know, we have the AIS. We can tell there's a tow around a bend. Now we can tell their name and everything else, but our radar will show us before we get there and before we've even identified them on the chart plotter. And that's pretty cool. And we use that for measuring the distance to the shore and stuff like that. What else have we done today? Bow thruster was super good today. I tell you what, I don't know how we would have got this thing docked. I mean, I was on that bow thruster 2 or 3 minutes.
You were. And I was thanking the heavens that we were mechanical, not electrical.
Yes. I mean, but it was a fight, you know, and we had to get 4 lines on the barge. That's the first barge. Now, the second barge was really a piece of cake because we had people there to help us.
Yes.
First barge, it was just all us on the boat. You guys had to lasso the cleats, get them cinched up, and I had to, in 4 and 5 foot swells, keep this boat from smacking the daggum bridge. I bet we have tire marks all up and down the side.
Do.
You know,
between that and our fenders.
Yeah. Yeah, we had lots of fenders out, but it was just rough. You know, I'm actually proud of our ability as a crew. We've come a long ways in in the last year especially. Putting this boat into some really crazy places. I guarantee you, I know certain people. They ain't no way they would do some of the stuff we've done. But I don't want to do anything that I feel is too unsafe for us. But that's part of why we got this type of boat, is so it can handle. It can handle the rough stuff. It's a good boat. What else you need to know today? I mean, this afternoon before I got a shower, I was dog tired for one, but just until the two guys from the fuel barge saved our bacon as far as the day goes.
They did. They were sweet. They took our trash and they filled our water tanks.
They were just awesome. That's the kind of service. If I go someplace, or if I was working someplace, that's what I would want to do. Take care of the people. We spent a couple $1,000s. But
then that's probably pocket change.
Yeah, oh yeah, these tugs got to pull in there and get 10, 15 grand worth minimum.
Yeah.
But they treated us just like anybody else, and they redeemed Baton Rouge for me. This morning I was not real happy with Baton Rouge, but two people that went above and beyond can make all the difference. I do believe, I think the city of Baton Rouge is really missing out not having a city dock. There's no place to get off and go do some stuff. I mean, Baton Rouge's got a lot of history, but if you can't get off the boat and go do it, and I'm looking forward to Vicksburg, because we're going to be able to park at a pier, go shopping, do our stuff. It'll be good. All right, well, let's wrap this thing up, because I'm sure people are tired of hearing me talk.